How the heretics? Why is there no mentioning of electricity in the Bible? I can come up with 3 examples where it would be relevant, even life-saving, to mention electricity in the Bible. If you can come up with any other example, please let me know in the description. But the first one I was thinking of is pretty basic. Missionary work. If you would go to my ancestors here in Scandinavia, the Vikings, and try to preach to them, they would just smile at you. Best case scenario, they would smile at you and they would say, your theory of Jesusism is just a theory. How can something as complex as the lightning that traveled through the sky just appear out of thin air? There must be a creator, there must be intelligent design, and we know as Vikings, when Thor strikes the hammer, the sparks travel through the sky. So they would reject your theory of Jesusism. And I heard it's a bad thing to reject, because you go to hell, according to some people. So, if there was to be a small section of the Bible that mentioned the basics of electricity, you would be able to save their souls for Jesus. But even today, when we know about electricity, it would be a good thing. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness in a Jehovah's Witness family, and we would go from door to door and tell people that the Bible is written by God or inspired by God, and it's not a book about science, but when it mentions science, it's always correct. And we would show to a scripture that says that the rivers flow to the ocean, but the ocean never fills up. And we would say that the people who wrote the Bible didn't know about this, so it must be inspired by God. Really? The people in Israel didn't know that the rivers flow to the ocean? Everyone knows that. It would be, if you want to make the argument that God wrote the Bible because, well, a chapter of electricity would be much more fascinating than the fact that rivers float to the sea. Because that's just observation, everyone can see that. But there's a story in the Bible where a guy gets killed by electricity. I believe so. So please listen to me. There was a story where God, Jehovah, he had his favorite golden box called the Ark of the Covenant or something like that. And the Philistines, they stole it. God did not protect it. But then the Philistines had to give it back to the Israelites because they got hemorrhoids. So they put it on a cart, they put pelt on a cart, and they put the wooden box on the pelt, and they put some cows in front of it, and let it go back to Israel. And then Israel received this, and they took it further. And at one point, this cart is almost tipping, so one of the Israelites put his hand on it to make sure it doesn't tip over. And then it says that he was smitten by God. Jehovah killed him. That's a funny story. So when I was a Jehovah's Witness, we had to explain this because God can't be the good guy. So we would always explain it with like, well, maybe he did it in a disrespectful way. How do you touch something in a disrespectful way? It wasn't premeditated. It was like, oh. And the other thing is, they say he did not have faith that Jehovah could protect it. Well, Jehovah did not protect the ark from the Philistines, and Jehovah did not lift it up on the cart. Jehovah didn't push the cart. It was cows dragging the cart. So you could, it's not inexcusable that he thought, okay, it's us doing this. We are human beings and cows are in charge of the transport. So it's not lack of faith, it's just common sense. But also, if God is able to protect the ark, why didn't he? Imagine if this is a coffee cup, my favorite. I actually do have a teacup that only I'm allowed to use. And someone see it's falling from the table. And he thinks, okay, I like Jonas, he's a nice guy, so I gotta catch it for me. I wouldn't kill that guy because he's trying to do me a favor, especially if I'm capable of stopping it myself. I would stop it myself, and then I would say, don't touch my cup. So God were capable of sending an angel, but he didn't. He waited until the guy tried to do him a favor and then he killed the guy. What I think happened is, if you put this huge golden box on pelt and then scramble it for hours through the desert with very low humidity in the air, this will be charged with static electricity. So I think there will be volts, I think, in it. So imagine if I would be an Israelite, very hot, very sweaty, with wet hands, and I'm very grounded with my sweaty feet, and I touch this golden box. I might get, according to the Bible, smitten by Jehovah. Jehovah killed him. I think he died from static electricity. And this makes this catch-22 for Christian apologists, like I used to be. Because if God killed him, then God's a really unreasonable bloke. This guy is trying to do me a favor. I'm gonna kill him. That's not fair, especially since God would be able to send an angel and say, no, 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 no. Don't touch my favorite golden box. But if God was not a terrible person, and it was actually a freakish accident with static electricity, which I believe this might be a true story, well, then the Bible is wrong, because the Bible writes that God killed him. And God didn't kill him, it was a freakish accident. But the people who wrote the Bible didn't know that, because they were not inspired by God. So, the short story about why the Bible never mentioned electricity, according to me, would be that the Bible is written by goat farmers. And as of today, goat farmers know about electricity, but back then, goat farmers did not know about electricity. And you can't blame them, because most goat farmers don't drive around huge wooden boxes covered with gold on a cart on pelt. So I guess it was an accident. This is a lovely day. It's raining. I'm doing some maintenance. Life's great. Like and subscribe. See you in paradise.